All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Most of you are here. All right, so we're finishing up the dichotomous key activity in Gizmo. I wanted to express again what you needed to do with the last page. So with the last page, you are answering this question based on the albatross, but then what you want to do for the second one is you want to create a document of your own, and then you're going to uh, um, select one organism. So it can be the flowers, it can be the snakes, it can be the fish, but I'll just take the fish for example. And you're going to take 4 pictures. So you're going to take the screenshot of 4 of them, any 4. You don't have to do all 8. And create a key. And then what you want to do, and I want you to notice too, that starting from the top, they start off with the same thing, the same 2 lines for everybody. So you notice no matter how often I change the picture, the first 2 lines are always the same. So when you do your key, you can do the same thing. The first 2 lines will be, and then it will, then you need to tell it. So that'll be your first 2 lines will be whatever lines are with the organisms you pick. So pick 4 pictures and then create these first 2 statements. And then your instruction will be just like this. For the first statement, you want to say go to number 2. And for the second statement, you want to go to number 3. So you want your 2 descriptions in here to take you to describing the first 2 maybe, and when you go to number 3, decide how those 2 will describe the last 2 pictures. Okay, so that's how you want to do this question. So again, this is a separate sheet of paper that you need to create. You need to screenshot 4 of the organisms, and you need to create just like this box up here. You need to create that same box for the one that you are, for the other organism that you pick. All right, when you complete that, I've had one person to do it. Make sure that you do the quiz. The worksheet is worth 55 points. The quiz is your additional 5. So the whole assignment is out of 60. So make sure you do the assignment, but do that after you have submitted. Okay. All right. So again, you can pick whichever 4 organisms. You can do the trees if you want to, and the same thing with the trees. You start off with, do they have needles or do they have scales? All of them start that same way. Do they have needles or do they have scales? Doesn't matter which ones you pick. And those are your, so those, if you pick this one, that should be your first 2 lines. Okay, if you pick snake, they're going to start, are there rattles at the end or no rattles on the tail? That's how they start off with all of them. Start off with the same thing. So that would be your first 2 lines. Okay. All right. So I'll let you finish that. Nobody has turned theirs in yet, so everybody should be working on this assignment. A couple of you have done the quiz, but I need you to add the quiz to your grade sheet, so please work on this. The assignment says it's due by Friday, but I'm not giving class time for it when I see you next. So you make sure that you get as much of this done as possible. When we meet in class again, we will be moving on to the next topic. Keep in mind that we are trying to get to the end of course tests as well, so we can't spend a whole lot of time giving you forever to complete an assignment. Okay. Alrighty. Any questions you need to ask? If you're not sure of which direction to go, please ask. Now I'm going to do attendance and again, to get to the gizmo, you have to go through Clever, Explore Learning. Okay, there was one other thing I wanted to share with you. I got everybody's taxonomy worksheet, so that's a good thing. One of the questions people, half of the class was like 50-50. Some of you got it right, some of you got it wrong. Was that question about, is a mountain lion related to an animal whose name was Reina Oncala? And the answer was no. The mountain lion is kind of related to a cougar, and the um, a cougar's scientific name is Puma concolor. And so that does not have the same genus or species name as the mountain lion. So if you type in mountain lion, you'll also get uh, cougars as an example of a mountain lion. So mountain lion is a common name, so is cougar. Scientific name is Puma concolor. So if it doesn't have now a jaguar had the same last name, had the same species name, so that would be related, but not the mountain lion. So um, that was specifically the question, would this organism be related to a mountain lion? So the answer was no. And the reasoning is because um, they don't have the same genus or species name. So that identifies them as not. Okay, Jacob's got something else here. Let me see what happens when I make that blow up. Yeah, and more specifically, that word would have been related to a frog. So the answer still would have been no. Okay, so thank you, Jacob, for sharing that. All righty. So yeah, so sometimes you just have to look up the name that they give you and see what it is related to. All right, thank you again, Jacob, for sharing. All right, so we'll be looking more at classification as we go along, and it's important that we'll talk about these dichotomous keys a little more as well. Okay, now I'm gonna put this back up because someone just came to class. Okay, all righty. So, good afternoon, good afternoon. All right, so we are working on completing the gizmo, making sure that you also take the quiz when you're finished, and making sure that um, you complete the worksheet. Worksheet is worth 55 points. The um, trying to go to the worksheet without going through the grade book, because my grade book is up at the moment. Let me do this real quick though. Dichotomous key. There we go. All right. Also remember there's a vocabulary list on there as well. All right, and if you came in late, I reminded everybody that the last question requires that you create a box like the one above, that you select any of the other organisms, screenshot 4 pictures, and create a key that would, and these 4 lines that are here should have the name of the organism that you've picked. So with those 4 lines, you should be naming based on the characteristic that you pick. So pick a characteristic that will lead to that particular organism. So and by that I mean if you're picking the snake, so these are going to be your first 2, and one of these will say go to 2 and the other one will say go to 3. But the one that tells you go to 2, all right, there's a rattle at the end of the tail. All right, so the one that tells you go to 2 should have be like this one. Whereas if you pick this one, it automatically gives you the name of the organism. So that should be, if you say go to 2, then that should be the one that you have, and it named the organism. If the second one is not it, then you should have the name for that one as well. So, for example, let's say B. Okay, so D. But this one also has a rattle on the end of the tail. Okay, but that would have took you to number 2. So, but the second one, the rattle is rust colored and the snake doesn't have a rust color. So this one does have a rust color. So we'll pick this one. So that should be your second line. Oops, not bad. That's not the second. Well, the snake does not have a rust colored stripe on its back. Okay, I'm looking at the rattle stripe on its back. Okay. It has one, doesn't have one. All right. So then it tells you that um it does not have tail rings. This one does not. It has, let's see if that's the one. Nope, that's not it. It's this one. All right, so if that's the one you picked, then the line that your second line should have that description. So it would have been, oops, let me go back to that one. All right, so your second line would have this, does not, and on its tail. All right, so that would be how you would identify. So those would be the 2 lines that you would have for that box, and then use the other statements will identify your other two pictures. So that would be two out of four of your snakes are identified. So you're not making it up. Just use these statements that are already um, in the program. And if you have any questions, be sure to ask. All right, LaCoria was here and now she's not. Who is? Oh, it wasn't LaCoria, it was Kayla. Oh. Again, do try to stay focused, get as much of this done today as possible, because we won't be using class time to get it finished when I see you next tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, time is winding down. Again, we're not going to do this in class, but it is due by Friday. So please make sure that you get it completed and submitted. And if you have no questions for me, you can log out and get ready for your next class. Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine.